It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Sports don't stop, and neither do we. Welcome to 365 Sports, your home for real conversations, original shows, and coverage that lives where sports actually happen. Join David Smoke, Craig Smoke, and myself, Paul Catalina, for in-depth interviews and local stories to the moments national media misses. 365 Sports brings you the voices, debates, and perspectives fans care about every single day. Subscribe now on YouTube, search 365 Sports, and never miss a moment because sports aren't seasonal. They're 365.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
Just use AMP-Pace.
Pace.
With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US. Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at ULike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ULIKE.com. ULike.
Hey, it's Matt Mosley of The Matt Mosley Show. We want you to watch our show every day, 1 to 3 on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And you get to see big-name guests like Gary Patterson, Art Briles, Scott Drew, Doug McNamee, major Cowboys insiders, ESPN legends like Sal Palantonio. When news breaks on Cowboys or Baylor or NFL, we want you to look here first. 1 to 3 weekdays, it's the Matt Mosley Show.
Cam?
Yes.
Do you see me?
I see you.
Okay, good.
It's a mighty nice sign you got.
Is this on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see it on the
Would you like me to
the TFNB Bank Studio. Your bank for life. Your studio for life, pal. You like it?
I love it. I'd like some more of it.
I'm going to put this down. Corey just brought this in. Thank you, TFNB.
It's a weapon, man. It's giving you some feedback, too. So,
hey, hold on. Yeah. Cam, how you doing?
I love this new tradition we've got. First couple seconds of a segment, there is somewhere where Pete is off screen and asking a question.
It is great to be here with you guys today. I don't see myself on our monitor, but I see
you look great, man. Can you see me?
Yeah, well, yeah. I screwed up this. The feedback monitor is such that I'm not seeing you, but it's fine. There is, by the way, okay, we're presented by Slovakics, right? Of course, I mentioned the TFMB Bank Studios. We're talking USF shortly.
Oh, aren't we?
Yes, we are talking USF shortly. Give us like 20 minutes, maybe 25, and we're going to go to our interview with Brian Hodgson, which was, I'm telling you, man, one of the best interviews that I have done in my time here on the Pete Sousa Show. And I cannot wait to share that with you guys. I've had, anyways, the personal story, the cohesion that honestly I felt like he and I shared, but I bet he's the kind of guy that does that to everybody. I've talked with Coach before. I've done a handful of their games. I'll be at the American tournament doing the first and second rounds for ESPN starting on Tuesday. I have Baylor, Utah tomorrow, Saturday on NBC. Peacock, that was when I got the assignment 2 months ago, I was like, man, this is going to be a kick-ass game. Now I'm like, well, I don't know. It's kind of, I'm in that position where when you have two coaches like this, now let's look at it, right? These guys are multi-millionaires. Alex Jensen with Utah, Scott Drew with Baylor. So like they're in a position in life that I'll probably never get to as far as the security, wealth-wise. Let's just say it. I'll never get there. Those guys are wealthy. But you still kind of feel bad for them. And that is the conundrum that is college sports, or pro sports. You're watching a team and they're getting their ass kicked, and you look at their coach and it's Romeo Crennel on the sideline, and he's like a deer in headlights, and oh my God, I feel so bad for Romeo Crennel. His team's terrible. He's gonna get fired. Hey, the guy goes home and sleeps all money, so he'll be all right. So I'm looking forward to talking to Scott Drew and Alex Jensen, and I can promise there's a gnat in here. They'll probably be in very good spirits. One, because both of those dudes are spiritually fit, which I look forward to just kind of being on the other end of some of that stuff. And two, I do feel like for Baylor, the program at some point this year hit some kind of bottom. And they're clearly on the way back up, getting ready for this game today. If you look, Baylor had I think since January 31st, I want to say the team is on a tear would be a lie. But to say that they've been competitive is the absolute truth. Competitive to the point where I think most games have been 3 or 4 point games. And we're talking about road games at Iowa State. There was the blowout loss to Kansas State after Tang got fired, which was just kind of just a funky game all around. But Baylor's playing much better. And they're a team that is bouncing back, I think. There's 3 teams in the Big 12 that were staring into the abyss this year. One of them has bounced back. The other 2, and I'm talking about teams that we expected to be, somewhat competitive. Cincinnati, they're actually making a tournament push right now. Remember, Wes Miller was going through something in front of all of us earlier in the season. He's now the steward of a ship that's trying to make a late push to the NCAA tournament. Jerome Tang, right? He stared into the abyss, and now he's kind of floating around in there somewhere. We love Coach Tang, but something had to change there, right? And it couldn't change this year. There were no signs of growth. Baylor was another one. Scott Drew was never going to lose his job, but it certainly felt like, wow, this is going to be an awful year. Yeah, at 5-12 in the conference, you certainly want better out of Baylor, but the past 6 weeks, let's say 4 weeks maybe, have been impressive for Baylor when you put into context a team that was scheduled to finish 7th in the conference when you looked at the preseason rankings, and then there was what felt like free fall, and now I would think that they'll win this game against Utah handily, but that's just looking on paper. I'll be interested to see how both teams play. So that's Saturday. Getting ready for the American tournament, like I mentioned. That's how I got off on that exit talking about Baylor. But I don't know that I won't see USF. I mean, I will see them and get a chance to say hello to them, but I won't call one of their games because they will get a bye right to the semifinals, and I'll be doing up to the quarters. But I will be seeing Penny Hardaway. If Memphis loses another, I think mathematically they'll be fine. But Memphis is almost on the brink of not even being in the American tournament. They take the top 10 teams, and right now Memphis is sitting at 10th after a loss last night to USF. So we'll get into the Bryan Hodgson story. I'm so excited to share that with you guys. It's something that will move you, and it's also something that will educate you as well. And it's fun too. He's a cool dude. So I'm looking forward to that. I want to start the show off talking a little bit about some good news, okay? If you watched Baylor Houston the other night when Houston, figured it out, they did what they do late in the game. Don't you love when they say they do what they do? That's like the laziest analyst thing. Hey, Cam, what do you think? What do the Celtics have to do here? Well, they're going to do what they do, Pete. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. But they did what they did, right? And Houston came back and they took care of business. But after the game, LJ Cryer received his championship ring, or his Final Four ring from the Cougs. Or maybe it was his Big 12 ring. What was it, Cam?
Both. Big 12 championship ring
Cam,
and Final Four ring. Oh, I don't know why you can't, but it's both of them.
So then he gets his ring, okay? And I knew this because I had a little inside track on this. My buddy Chris Humphreys, who works for Baylor and ESPN, was like, hey, our buddy Jordan Lewis is about to pop. Now, this is LJ's girlfriend who was pregnant, and, they're ready to have a baby any day. And he was like, I'm looking at January or February 21st. Jordan Lewis might have a baby. So do you know anybody who could be an analyst? And we hooked him up with this young, talented woman, Austin Ivan, played hoops at Oklahoma State. Is doing stuff with us on Inside the 12. So she covered for Jordan. But then it's on my radar, like, okay, Jordan's ready to pop. And then I saw LJ in Houston, and I thought, well, maybe she hasn't yet. And then the guy is playing for the Golden State Warriors, okay? And he's actually getting time and contributing on an NBA team. So he gets the ring at Houston. He goes, has a baby, and then gets buckets for the Golden State Warriors. Do you have a picture of that tweet up, Kim? Look, let's just see it. We got a screen record action.
Sound if you want it. I have the sound.
Oh, you go.
Yep.
Cam's got sound. All right, here we go. This is LJ Cryer on what has been a ridiculously wild week for himself, Jordan Lewis, and now their little one. Check it out.
Past couple of days, honestly, I thought I was going to be in Santa Cruz, not even coming on this trip, but they told me last minute. So got to go to University of Houston, get my Big 12 championship ring, Final Four ring. Got to see my daughter, and then got to play here in front of my family. So it's been amazing past couple of days.
I mean, how awesome is that? I mean, and I'll tell you something. He's not the only badass in that family. So Jordan, who I worked a couple women's basketball games with this year, and I worked with her last year. In fact, I had to set LJ straight. I was calling a Houston, Colorado game last year, and I was like, yo, I've been working with Jordan. Jordan was a phenomenal basketball player, like phenomenal at Alabama, and then ultimately finished her career at Baylor. I don't know too much about the situation, but I would imagine that's where her and LJ, their stars aligned, right? So being able to witness those two come together, and then having the opportunity to hear about this news, right, was something that I was completely shocked when she told me she was about to have a baby, because she wasn't showing. And honestly, I can tell you that she worked just as hard, if not harder than LJ. She was traveling back and forth to see him in the Bay Area, and then to see him also play in the G League. And then she would travel back to Texas to call a Baylor game, a women's game, to be an analyst. And then she would travel to Houston, where they live. This was nonstop for her. So, of course, moms, they get the biggest props. So congratulations to Jordan Lewis, to LJ Cryer. A wild week for LJ. Loving basketball is very real, right? And it starts right here in Central Texas. We love a good story like that. I'll rip off Feel Good Friday from my buddies from BYU TV. But LJ Cryer, what an odyssey. And one thing that Houston, I think Kelvin was so excited to have him back the other night to honor him after the win, that I did think, man, I bet he wishes he had LJ right now. Because if you remember their push last year down the stretch to the tournament, and Fran Fraschilla shared this with us the other day. LJ was the guy who was their bailout guy. You know, a lot of times you think, okay, you could go inside to Jawan Roberts, or you could go outside to LJ, who really stepped up in that tournament run. By the way, Cam, there's a meeting going on in the other room with 365 guys. It's intense, dude.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's intense.
Is this like your Isaiah Austin, Grant McCaslin story the other day? That kind of intense?
I don't know if I'll have to go in there, but like, so it's Corey sitting down. Corey, folks, is the guy who owns our 365 Rogue Media Company. And he's got everybody there from the 365 show. They have a beautiful studio. That studio's got to cost like a couple $100,000, dude. But okay, that's pushing it. But let's say, I don't know, a lot more than any studio I've ever been in costs. And it's going down in there. Okay, let's switch it up here before we get to Brian Hodgson. This was something that I wanted to talk about because it's really it hit its close to home for me. The Charlotte Hornets are in the midst of an amazing run. And I can tell you that it finally feels, at least from afar, like a fresh start for this organization. Since the moment that the actual Hornets left Charlotte, I think it was 2001 or 2002, they make the move to New Orleans, right? George Shinn was their owner. Charlotte was very much, especially back in, the late 90s, early 2000s, like it was a Bible Belt state, right? Very conservative. I know this because I lived there. Wednesday nights, I can remember early when I lived there, I learned that, the NBA organizations there didn't love to have games on Wednesday nights because that was a church night. I didn't know that. And George Shinn, the owner of the Hornets, who had this amazing love affair with the city because he brought basketball to Charlotte in 1988, he got mixed up in something personal off the floor, an affair. And, that kind of bubbled up to the surface. And I'm telling you, it was not 2026. Like, it was, the owner had an affair. We want these guys out. And then George Shinn got with, this guy, Clay, I forget his last name, but they were like, okay. And they ultimately make the move, and they end up in Oklahoma City, right? So was it Oklahoma City or New Orleans? I don't even remember now. Cam?
So it was New Orleans, and then during Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans went to Oklahoma City for the year. And that kind of attracted the NBA to put a team in Oklahoma City.
God damn, Cam, you are good, man. You are good. I mean, the guy's not sitting there like with an encyclopedia. It's all right upstairs. Cam's about to marry a woman from Charlotte too, so this hits kind of close to him.
It's huge.
So
huge. We're all Hornets people now.
When I work for the Hornets, so I end up working in PR as like a little grunt PR guy for the Charlotte Bobcats. Basketball is back in Charlotte in 2004. And it was so clumsy in a sense where Bob Johnson owned the team, the guy who had built BET. Great dude. Obviously, a black guy, black entertainment television. It was a smart move by the NBA, a thoughtful move, and it was about time, dude. The guy had the dough. Let's make it happen. So he's the owner of the Hornets. I think he got the team for under $300 million. And even that was a little over his skis. And I can remember when I started working in Charlotte, we spared no expense, right? I swear to God, there were like 1,000 of us. By the time like 2/3 of the first year, like there were probably 1/3 of us left. They had a television station called CSET. So Bob Johnson was kind of trying to mirror what he did at BET in Charlotte with this company, Carolina Sports and Entertainment, CSET. It was a train wreck. They couldn't get it on basic cable. Nobody could see the Bobcats. People did not like the Bobcats. There was too much. And I think and this is not, I'm not like trying to throw stones at Charlotte because I love the city, but there was a little bit, it was too much like, yo, 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 like in the face of those fans there. They were not used to that. They were used to their basketball players, just being soft, cuddly citizens. And that's just not the reality of life, right? But the portrayal of the Hornets in 1988 was, we've got a team in Charlotte, only ticket in town. The Charlotte Coliseum holds 22,000 people, or it did. It was sold out every single night. I sat next to Del Curry or stood next to Del Curry in a tunnel once in that first year at the Coliseum. And the Hornets were going down the stretch with Kobe Bryant. And I was probably Cam's age at the time, and I'm like a bit of a historian. And I was like, Del, this is because Del was in the community department. You see this, Matt? I said, Del, is this as loud as it got? He like stopped me. He was like, it's nowhere close, dude. He's like, when we were playing in 88, 89, I felt like the ceiling was going to blow off this place. And remember, they sucked. I mean, like, just a different time, dude. Every night was sold out. It was like going to the circus to go to a Hornets game. So they come back in 2004, and basketball ops-wise, the blueprint for success was perfect. Bernie Bickerstaff was like, we're going to bring in guys that are hungry and trying to sustain an NBA career, or guys who are trying to have an NBA career. And they got vets like Brevin Knight. They had young guys like even like Jason Hart. Primo Brezic was a guy who was like first round pick by the Pacers, and Primo comes over and he's really good. Gerald Wallace, who I should have mentioned first. They got him from the Kings in the expansion draft. And the games were, I mean, that team played hard. I think they won 18 games, but they were in, I would say, 3/4 of the games as you got into the fourth quarter. They were competitive. You had to respect them. And they were saving money under the salary cap, and they were building draft picks. But what happened was the team and Bob Johnson start to get leery, like, we're not making money. Like, so the president of the team, Ed Tapscott, who's the man, he was the Knicks GM for a little bit. He was a head coach at American University. Tapscott's calling Bob Johnson, and he's like, hey, like, we're going to need more money for certain things. Bob Johnson's like, I'm not giving you guys any more money. So right away they started, there was a disconnect. And then you had, the draft picks, right? I mean, that first draft, 05, 06, that I was there for, we drafted Sean May and Raymond Felton. Now, good players, but like foolish draft picks. And what was that? Well, it's marketing and PR, dude.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that just PR? 2 Carolina guys who just won a national championship?
100%. They had an opportunity to package the picks and get Chris Paul, and they didn't do it. Which at the time,
No, why would we do that? Yeah,
you could say, Cam, that Sean May, God bless him, was a bust. I mean, he showed signs in college that he was going to be a guy that could play the power forward, that could score 15 points a night. He had such polish to his game, but he just really couldn't stay in shape. I don't know that he was crazy about it. He didn't have – he was a rich kid.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you know what? Your boy Fish makes a good point here. You know what the Bobcats did not have that the Hornets did? Kick-ass starter jacket.
Yeah. No, they didn't. They did not. They did not.
Man. They just didn't have that. Like the Hornets low-key, I mean, not low-key, like real, had a kind of cultural appeal.
They did.
Pop culture.
100%.
Yeah.
Those new, I can remember in Sports Illustrated, those new uniforms. I remember Kelly Tripucka in the uniform with the pinstripes, and they had some designer from New York make it. There was like a huge, that was real buzz behind the Hornets, right? So after the Bob, yeah, thank you. So the Bob Johnson thing is going terribly wrong, right? And what do? They bring Michael Jordan in as a part owner basically in waiting, right? Like, because the NBA is like, all right, if you're going to fix this, let's fix it with Michael Jordan. Another minority, best player of all time, from North Carolina, makes perfect sense. Problem was MJ comes on board and he guts that basketball operations staff that I told you was kind of online, and Bernie Bickerstaff and Ed Tapscott, and they were doing a terrific job assembling a team. MJ comes on and everything is like, we're plugging bullet holes with Band-Aids, like nonstop. Like, okay, let's bring in Larry Brown. Larry Brown actually took him to the playoffs because that's what Larry Brown does. But the Charlotte Bobcats never got off the ground. And things actually, not like they didn't make money, but from a competitive standpoint, things actually got worse under Michael Jordan. I mean, I think they had the one record the last year being the Bobcats. They were the worst team of all time. And then they finally, their last year as the Bobcats, I think they went back to the playoffs for a second time, got swept by the Heat. They got swept by the Magic the first time. And then they have the brilliant move, and this is like the smartest thing anybody ever did, affiliated with that regime, the Jordan regime. They figure out a way to get the Hornets name back, which from a PR perspective was a disaster, I can promise you, because now you got records. Whose record is this? Whose record is that? Try putting together a media guide under that kind of pressure. Fish knows what I'm talking about. Like, who are these Hornets records? Are they Pelicans records? Is this the Thunder? I mean, I don't even, it's mind-numbing. You can figure it out if you sat down for about an hour. But finally, I feel like there has been like a complete release from the old Hornets, and the new Hornets are here. And it's because of guys like Brandon Miller. And this will take us to our next segment. I'm not going to go right here, but guess who recruited Brandon Miller at Alabama? Bryan Hodgson did, working for Nate Oates for several years. And it's players like Brandon Miller, right? It's a whole new, a brand new regime. Like, it's like they kind of just completely gone through the car wash as an organization. And they are out on the other side. And I believe that the Hornets now are ready to be a player in the NBA again. There was so much, and this is a very 30,000-foot view perspective, but I was on ground zero. I did PR for the team for 4 years, okay? I know the situation in the NBA around there well. I came back and worked as a broadcaster for radio broadcasts and some digital stuff when they were the Hornets. And they almost like turned the corner when they were the Hornets. They had Al Jefferson, but they just couldn't sustain any kind of success. I think they made the playoffs 1 year, and I think they lost to the Heat again. As like the Hornets. But now they're back, and the Hornets are buzzing, as Cam says. And I think that they are back to stay. Someday I will do, and this is a half-baked promise, but I think it is time that I do this. I want to do a podcast, like a series about the 10 years. Was it 10? 2004? Yeah, the 10 years of the Charlotte Bobcats and the disaster that it was. The biggest thing that I took from that was that Michael Jordan was brought from on high to be the savior of this organization, and he actually made it a lot worse. Now, he got rich, but it got worse. The culture was Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley, to my knowledge, which is probably this when it comes to Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley's personal relationship, they still don't talk because Barkley called Michael on the carpet and was like, dude, he brings all his boys to run this team. That's why they suck. And that was a bridge too far for MJ. Cam, you had something you wanted to share this segment? I'm dying to hear from you.
Oh man, do I have something for you? Because this got me buzzing a little bit yesterday. We were talking about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, names that we'd like to see in there. And I thought of this group yesterday, and I was going to text you, and I was like, Pete definitely knows this group for sure. Like, it's right in his wheelhouse.
Bring it on. I keep looking down here. I got to look at my monitor because this one isn't working good.
And I thought, let's save it for the show. Next year, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I want to see LFO there.
New Kids on the Block had a lot of hits, right? That's it.
Yeah.
And wasn't he now one of the guys from LFO, if I'm not mistaken, was wearing a Drew Henson jersey in the video?
So Girl on TV, which was their other hit, one of the guys is wearing a Michigan number 10 jersey.
So is it Tom Brady?
Yeah, so it's a Brady jersey. It was I mean, talk about like it's
and
like
Brady was a starter on a team that won the Orange Bowl.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. But like again, you got to like this is before the days where you were buying a player's jersey. You know, you like a team would just have one number. You know what I mean? Like they just have number 10 or number 1 or number 2.
Was
you know
Jennifer
what I mean?
Love Hewitt in the video?
Yes, because Rich Cronin on the left was dating Jennifer Love Hewitt.
What a time, dude.
And he is from Kingston, Mass, which is not far from where I grew up.
So these guys are from Massachusetts.
One of them is. This was like classic late 90s. Take a couple of good-looking guys down to Orlando and make them into a boy band. Remember that documentary? The guy who did
Lou Pearlman.
Yes, Lou Pearlman. I couldn't remember his name. He also did LFO.
What's his name? Big Daddy or Big Nasty or something?
Something like that. Big checks bouncing. But I remember distinctly because this is going to date me a little bit, Pete. I wasn't around when LFO was huge. All right. late 90s. It was just a young buck. And so when I first listened to them, which was like college, maybe.
What the hell are you doing listening to LFO?
I don't know.
College?
So it came up on some like Spotify playlist, like
Okay.
summer songs. And so Summer Girls came up. And I remember distinctly when I first heard it, when he says, there was a good man named Paul Revere. I feel much better, baby, when you're near. And I'm like, no one but people from Boston say Paul Revere like that. Like nobody. And so I had to look him up. I was like, oh my God, dude. Like he's from Kingston. He went to Bridgewater State, which is like the local commuter school. And he unfortunately died back in 2010. Rich Cronin, the lead singer. Yeah. He had cancer. And he was like, yeah, he's like 40. Like he was really young. It was sad. But I realized this yesterday because there's a song. There's a line from a song that I quote like all the time. That is a Rich Cronin song from like a year and a half before he died. Like no record label or anything like that. He just like put out a song kind of.
I'm guessing it's a little less moving than "Keep Me in Your Heart for a While" by Warren Zevon. But go ahead,
give me
the death
it's
theme.
Tough because I like Warren Zevon. But there's just a line in it where he's like, "Met a girl and I broke her heart. Just a day in the life of an ex-pop star." And I say that second line all the time, like, just a day in the life of an ex-pop star, you know?
At least he was being real.
Keeping it real, man. Keeping it real. It's literally called The Story of My Life. And it's like, I don't want to speak ill, but like, it's just, he didn't have his best lines left, I would say. I think LFO capped out.
He emptied out the chamber with LFO.
Yeah, about 2 songs, you know? And he was just like, it's like piece of paper crumpled up, you know, with the lyrics kept me going crazy though. Like it's just like most of it's like wild, but
it's funny we're talking about this on the heels of the Britney Spears thing yesterday because I was sort of weird. My girlfriend Megan at the time was like really kind of like, "What's up, dude?" Because I moved to New York. I was class of '99, and that was like the height of TRL. I was making no money, but we lived like I slept on this guy Gary Horton's floor in Midtown, and the offices we went to were like 888 7th Avenue building. So I was right in the thick of things. And for whatever reason, I thought like TRL was just the coolest. And we would have TRL on in the office. I mean, I really was a little bit of a celebrity, WHORE. I think that's like kind of, you go to a club, you'd see somebody, speaking of a celebrity sighting. And then we'll get to a couple ad reads. And I promise if anybody from USF is like, what the hell is this guy talking about? We're about to get to Brian Hodgson. I promise.
LFO first, and then Brian Hodgson. Yeah.
So I came back from Dallas last night because, I have the Baylor game tomorrow. And to be honest, I need to work, dude. When I'm up in Dallas, there's so much going on at the house. It's hard for me to I just can't get into a freaking rhythm. Like, I am not very smart, but I like to work hard. And the thing about the way that I work, like I don't work smart, right? I work hard. So like it takes me a long time to get something done, like prepare for a game, prepare for a show. Prepare for a show I can do pretty quickly. Preparing for a game, that can be a lot harder. And the show varies on the topic, right? But I just like when there's other people around, distractions, I need to be alone. I need to go into a bunker. So being here, this is like being in the bunker. I get here last night. I go to CVS. And who's bobbing around, dude? Big smile on his face. I mean, he's got this aura. The kids use the word aura a lot now. It's Tunde Yesufu, dude. Baylor basketball superstar. And he's just, there's something magical about, here's a guy who is about to be worth, I don't know, tens of millions of dollars. Your rookie contract in the NBA is $13 million, right? So, and he's probably making a couple mil now, like all in. Right. Like, and it's just interesting. Like, I'm like, there's Tunde just like bobbing around, like doing his thing, like all alone by himself for probably one of the last times in his life. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I know you can escape and get peace, but I do think like the innocence doesn't get lost, but it's just his life is about to change so dramatically.
Yeah.
Right.
You might have some peace, but you don't have a lot of anonymity.
No.
And like people in Waco know, like there are people who know Tunde Yesufu is, right?
But not one person in that CVS looked at him twice outside of me.
Right. Like you can do that.
And I guess it depends on what city you go to, right? I mean, if he plays in Utah or whatever, it'll be, but I don't know. Maybe people will be all over. Who knows, you know?
Yeah, I mean, first round pick, potentially. People will know. But yeah, I guess it does depend.
All right, let's do a couple live reads and get to Bryan Hodgson. What do you think about that? I got to talk to you guys about something important. Oh, by the way, one last thing. I don't think she would mind me saying this. Jordan Lewis got back to me. I said, you worked so hard this year while carrying the little one around. Congrats to you and LJ. You're a real one. She said, thank you. I tried, LOL. I was really tired at the end, but we made it. The grind that young woman put together this year while getting ready to have a baby, it just makes you like, women are just up here, dude. Like moms, they're just, I don't know, man. I'm a mama's boy if you can't tell, but much respect to Jordan Lewis, and happy for her and LJ. So, okay, let's talk about Bumblebee blinds, because if you're going to make a baby, you got to put the blinds down, right? I think that's something we can all agree on. Now I just got to get out of that horrible comment and find this read, but we'll take our time. I should print these. What do you think, Cam?
I think it would behoove you to print them. And don't let that, like, when you need to.
By the way, it's time for me. It's time for me to acknowledge a technical issue we're having. Whenever you come on the air, it takes like a second for me to hear you. I don't know what that is. It could be on my end.
Well,
okay?
let me just end with this. Don't let the fear of anything keep you from printing something, because at about 11:05 Eastern time today, which is 10:05 Central time, right at the start of our show, someone that lives with me ordered about 15 pages to be printed in the office where I do this. So don't let anything stop you from printing something, Pete. And
is your printer working?
It is. It is.
I need Grace to come over to my place and install a printer that works, because it's every time I go to print something, it's a friggin' fiasco. And I bet people can relate nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
You don't go to people work from home. You don't just go to the office and put it on the company dime and have this massive copy machine printer that you can just like, no longer, dude.
No way.
All right. If you were looking inside the loft today over on Fifth Avenue in Waco, you would have seen me pull my hair out because, well, the printer wasn't working. But if you don't want people to see you lose your mind, get in touch with Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple. That is your one-stop shop for custom window treatments. Specializing in shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains, Bumblebee Blinds stands behind their service and products. Schedule your design consultation today. BumblebeeBlinds.com. Again, that is BumblebeeBlinds.com. And there's one more. By the way, I was talking to my buddy Murph yesterday. Now they're up in Philly. And I was like, yo, Murph, like, are you out there? I know he does a lot better emotionally when he can get out and play golf. And he just hasn't been able to do that recently. And I know that's been really tough on him. And I can tell you, if you want to play golf here in Waco, Texas, well, there's only one place to go, right? And as I pull this up, I can tell you about Lake Waco Golf Club, should I say. Waco Golf Club. I'm like, why am I reading this? I know this copy. Lake Waco Golf Club, it's nestled right on Lake Waco, the North Point. It's unbelievable. Now, you go out to Lake Waco Golf Club, and first of all, if you stop by the pro shop, you can get some of the coolest gear you've ever seen. And that's the truth. I bought it from there. I'm not a very good golfer, but when I go to Lake Waco Golf Club, I will buy some stuff. It's really cool. Actually, I should get an apparel. I should get a shirt for this show. But it also has an executive 18-hole par 3 course. Nobody else in the area in Central Texas has that. And it's 18-hole golf course, excuse me. You got to play it to understand just how great it is. And you can also become a member. And the bar and restaurant is awesome. I actually have a little time today. Maybe I'll stop over there and grab some lunch. But if you want to get involved, LakeWacoGC.com. That is LakeWacoGC.com. All right, I've droned on for about 40 minutes here. How about that, huh? I mean, it's a heck of a start to the show. Yeah, I need a Lake Waco quarter zip. I do. Hey, Fish, then I'd fit right into the Villanova game. I know that much. All right, Cam, let's take a break, and we'll throw it to our boy, Bryan Hodgson, a conversation I had with him earlier this week, the head coach of the USF Bulls. The USF Bulls, by the way, who have clinched a portion of the American Conference title. They are headed to Birmingham as the number 1 seed in that conference tournament. I'll be calling the first and second rounds. I had a chance to catch up for ESPN. I had a chance to catch up with head coach Bryan Hodgson. We'll take a break. We'll come back with that convo. The Pete Sousa Show. Thank you to Daniel Stark, by the way. I haven't talked about them today. Thank you, Daniel Stark and Sikora Family Ford. I got in touch with Brian Sikora yesterday or 2 days ago, and I said, hey, man, I'm in the market for a car, and I'm not looking for a sweetheart deal. I'm just putting my money where my mouth is. So I'm going to head over to Sikora Family Ford at some time in the next week or so, probably when basketball cools off, and I'm going to get a sweet car. And I'm looking at some of those big pickup trucks. Being, sort of wiry, I like to think I'm kind of strong, but maybe people will say my brother last night called me a scarecrow, which if he was here, I would have given it to him. But he, if I drive a big pickup truck, it can make a person like Cam or I feel a little bit more like we've got a little bit more muscle, which is always nice to flex the muscle. All right, we're going to take a break. Thank you to all our sponsors. Thank you to you guys for being a part of this. Like, subscribe. Brian Hodgson coming back.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
Hey, it's Zach Gelb. We're talking NFL and college football. Plus, we have some of the biggest interviews in sports media. You got to check out the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports, weekdays, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 to 3 p.m. Central. And make sure you subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/@ZachGelbShow.
Save big during the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Drive a new Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with $13,000 off or choose 0% financing. Get a new Laramie Crew Cab 4-wheel drive with 3.9% financing for 72 months plus $15,000 off MSRP. Explore in a new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo starting at $31,990. Happening now at Allen Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to Babbel.com or download the app.
If you want a Boston sports show that's going to insult you as a fan and only cares about getting back at their old hosts or who Bill Belichick is dating, then keep tuning your radio. But if you want a sports show that's wicked good, wicked smart, wicked passionate, then you need the Wicked Boston Show with me, Cam Stewart. It is the only Boston sports talk show that is by the fans and for the fans. One voice in this city where the only BS is Boston sports. The Wicked Boston Show.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
First year at USF has gone just as he had expected, but a lot of other people were unsure of the success that he projected. Coach Bryan Hodgson joining the Pete Sousa Show. Thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on a piece of the regular season title in the American Conference. First of all, how you doing? How you feeling?
Oh man, I'm great. It's almost 80 degrees here in Tampa, Florida. I'm looking out my window at some palm trees. Life is good, no complaints, man. And appreciate you asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I got a lot of gratitude, and it's I discovered it through some adversity, and we'll touch on that a little bit with you. I know that you know there's a lot about your story that is layered and inspiring, and basketball and personal both meet, and that's why I think you're such a special coach. You said before you got this job, or when you got this job, when you were appointed head coach at USF, hey, I want people to expect an American Conference title this year, and it's coming to fruition. What about you made you believe in yourself enough to make a proclamation like that? This isn't, you're not me. You can't sit and make hot takes on some show every day and then come on tomorrow and say, hey, no big deal. It hits a little stronger when it comes from you.
Yeah, I think there's multiple levels to that. I think the first part is extremely confident in my staff. I've got an unbelievable staff. I say it all the time. People probably disagree or want to argue, but I got the best assistants in the country, and so. But I also know our work ethic, and I know that we wake up every morning with an attitude of gratitude for what we get to do. We talk about it in the locker room before every game. We're truly one percenters, not financially, not for any other reason other than the fact that we get to live out our dream every day. And so I feel like when you have that passion and it's shared amongst the group, and you're willing to work and outwork people, and you recruit the right guys, and we've never had a problem in recruiting, that you're always going to have a shot, right? And the second part was very selective in taking this job. Interviewed at several places last year. And this is the one place where I really felt that I could back that statement up. We've got the support, we've got the alignment amongst our leadership and administration, from the board of trustees to the president to our CEO of athletics. And when you have that alignment and the belief that they have here, and the resources that they back it up with, you've got a shot if you're willing to work. And so that's why I felt as strong as I did, and I'm glad we were able to back that up.
You have done, it just says a lot about who you are. The credit you give to Amir Abdur-Rahim. I was fortunate enough to get to meet him. I lean on Tom Crean a lot, being a play-by-play guy and him being an analyst. And I had Amir's last game at USF in the NIT. And, Tom was just telling me how amazing he is. And then I got to go and see it firsthand. And then tragedy hits. And you don't forget about his legacy. And I'm telling you, in a world where coaches have egos the size of football stadiums, it's been really cool to see, just how much of the foundation was laid by Amir Abdur-Rahim that has made this a manageable job for you. And honestly, you mentioned it. It became a place where, you got to pick, Coach, and you picked USF. I got to imagine his work was one of the reasons why.
It absolutely was. And no, I'm not scared to give him the credit on this at all. This doesn't happen without him. It made this job a special place. It showed people that you can win the American Conference here at South Florida, because yesterday's only the second time in program history, and his was the first. But it truly is. And I get it. You know, guys want to build their resumes and pump themselves up, but this isn't that kind of deal, man. He gave me the keys to a car that he had built and put all the work into, and I got to hop in the driver's seat. And I'll tell you, it also, like, we're playing for something bigger than ourselves every day. And we're practicing for something bigger than ourselves every day. We wear our bracelets here on our wrist every day, love wins, and coach's initials on the backside of it. I look at that every morning. I see it nonstop. And then I've got two bracelets. The second one is the core values that he put in here, and that I adopted when I took it. We had our own set of core values at Arkansas State, and when I got here, I made the decision that we were going to keep Coach Amir's, because I don't like fraudulent people, and there's a lot of those in this business. He was the opposite, man. What he said, he meant, and if he told you he was going to do something, he was going to do it. When he said love wins, and he displayed that in everything he did every day. I knew Coach Amir. I had a good relationship with him. I wish I would have known him better, because the people here, they have a hard time even explaining. The word that comes to mind often and is used often is charisma. Like, he was so charismatic. Like, it didn't matter. Everybody on this campus and in this community was touched by Coach Amir. Like, it's unbelievable. You can't describe it. And so he's done some special things here. He did some special things here to put us in a position that we're in. And I'm just fortunate to be in this chair behind him, and hope to make him proud.
Well, you clearly already have. And I think you look at a guy like CJ Brown, who you were able to maintain, a relationship with CJ and have him stay at USF after all that he had been through emotionally with losing the guy who had recruited him. And then you get guys like Joe Pinion and Isaiah Nelson to believe in you, to come with you to USF from Arkansas State. And the reason I bring those two examples up, in a world of, college basketball is so transient now, and the transfer portal and NIL, I get it, whatever. But like, to have those powerful unions with players that they come with you somewhere else, or they stay with you when things get tough or they're unsure, that says a lot about you. Do you ever think about that? Like, you ever stop and reflect, like, hey, my relationships are fulfilling me internally, which is really probably the main thing. But of course, you're a winner, you're a hell of a basketball coach. So it works out on the basketball court too. But just knowing your story like I do, I see those set of circumstances right there. I'm like, wow, this really is special what's happening.
Yeah, I'd say this, Pete. I think we had a associate athletic director at the University of Buffalo that I had a conversation. I was a young assistant, and he said something to me that, like, really stuck. And the premise of the conversation was, try to make your relationships in this business, it's truly God's work. And they gave me the keys to a car that he had built and put all the work into, and I got to hop in the driver's seat. And I'll tell you, it also, like, we're playing for something bigger than ourselves every day. And we're practicing for something bigger than ourselves every day. We wear our bracelets here on our wrist every day, love wins, and coach's initials on the backside of it. I look at that every morning. I see it nonstop. And then I've got two bracelets. The second one is the core values that he put in here, and that I adopted when I took it. We had our own set of core values at Arkansas State, and when I got here, I made the decision that we were going to keep Coach Amir's, because I don't like fraudulent people, and there's a lot of those in this business. He was the opposite, man. What he said, he meant, and if he told you he was going to do something, he was going to do it. When he said love wins, and he displayed that in everything he did every day. I knew Coach Amir. I had a good relationship with him. I wish I would have known him better, because the people here, they have a hard time even explaining the word that comes to mind often and is used often is charisma. Like he was so charismatic. Like it didn't matter. Everybody on this campus and this community was touched by Coach Amir. Like it's unbelievable. You can't describe it. And so he's done some special things here. He did some special things here to put us in a position that we're in. And I'm just fortunate to be in this chair behind him and hope to make him proud.
Well, you clearly already have. And I think you look at a guy like CJ Brown, who you were able to maintain, a relationship with CJ and have him stay at USF after all that he had been through emotionally with losing the guy who had recruited him. And then you get guys like Joe Pinion and Isaiah Nelson to believe in you, to come with you to USF from Arkansas State. And the reason I bring those two examples up, in a world of, college basketball is so transient now and the transfer portal and NIL, I get it, whatever. But to have those powerful unions with players that they come with you somewhere else, or they stay with you when things get tough or they're unsure, that says a lot about you. Do you ever think about that? You ever stop and reflect hey, my relationships are fulfilling me internally, which is really probably the main thing. But of course, you're a winner. You're a hell of a basketball coach. So it works out on the basketball court too. But just knowing your story like I do, I see those set of circumstances right there. I'm like, wow, this really is special what's happening.
Yeah, I'd say this, Pete. I think we had a associate athletic director at the University of Buffalo that I had a conversation. I was a young assistant, and he said something to me that really stuck. And in the premise of the conversation was try to make your relationships in this business more transformational than transactional. Because unfortunately, we're in a transactional business. Now, this was before the portal and NIL. It's 100 times more transactional now. And as far as Isaiah Nelson and Joe Pinion goes, we tell each other we love each other. I mean, we don't. I don't throw the word family around lightly, and for a lot of reasons. I mean, my upbringing but we're family, and I think, I tell these guys now, because I coach my guys hard. I mean, you've done our games. I coach my guys hard. I tell them, I don't, to be honest, I don't really care if you like me right now. I mean, I want you to call me in 8 years and invite me to your wedding, right? I want to get a card in the mail when you have your first child, like that. That's the stuff that's important to me. And so we are very adamant in recruiting guys that are going to fit that. If you're a transactional young man, if the first conversation we have, you ask what the dollar amount is, I'm out. It's not lip service. I turned away probably 12 guys last year. First phone call, great players. First phone call. How much money do you have for me? I'm out. We have money and we'll get there. But do you want to know how I'm going to coach you or what my plan for you is as a player so that you can make long-term money? Or is it strictly a transactional? What's the bottom line? Guys trying to beat you over the head. You got to come in $5,000 more than the last school and I'll come. If not, I'm out on all that stuff. We were not the highest bidder on any player we have on our roster, not even close. And that's important to me because I spend more time with these guys, unfortunately, than I do with my wife and son. That's just the nature of the business. And so I've got to like them. CJ Brown, we're very analytical in everything we do. We're big into the numbers game. And I sat down with CJ and showed him my plan for him and the way that we were going to play and shared my relationship with Coach Amir and talked about his. And Coach Amir and CJ were extremely close. Extremely close. And I told him, I said, listen, if you stay here, I really think that you can be our guy, our point guard, man. Everything you're about is what I'm looking for. B, I think we can carry out the vision that you and Coach Amir had together for the University of South Florida. And he had some visits scheduled. He canceled them and said, I'm staying. That says a lot about him as a young man.
It says a lot about you too. And you touched on family and your upbringing. And, I connect with you through I can't like be too long to get into it, but I hit rock bottom around 15 years ago through alcohol and drug addiction, right? And so I had the gift of desperation. I go to treatment. I live at a halfway house. I work a program today that keeps me grateful, and I understand where I came from. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not like, man, thank God, or but for the grace of God go I. And then when I used to be a news guy. When I got to a market in Central Texas, they were like, what do you want to do? What can be your like way of connecting with the public? And I was like, well, when I was in Louisiana on television, they had an adopt a pet segment. I was like, that was great. I was like, but we got kids all over here, foster kids who need homes. And I had seen a couple stories that was done through like Wednesday's Child, but they didn't have it in the market I was in. So I started this thing called Finding a Family. I didn't really start it. I was a part of it, but I was the face of it, you know? And I had a lot of experience talking to kids in foster care. It's dicey, dude. It's tough. You know, you were in a circumstance that led you to foster care at 2 years of age. And you're heavily involved now with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. You've been involved with foster care and the adoption of kids basically since you've had any kind of platform. You know, your story is such that I have to imagine it really impacts the man you are and the coach you are today. Would you mind shedding a little light on that? You know, like that thread through your entire life, which has built you as a person and coach?
Absolutely. And first and foremost, I read up on you and congratulations on your sobriety. That's a big deal. Like I know a lot of people that have battled addiction. My hometown is one of the worst in the country for it. And to come out on the other side, I mean, that's like the inner strength that takes is unbelievable because as you know better than anybody, addiction doesn't care about race, age, political affiliation, religion. It doesn't matter. And so congratulations on that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Second, I you know, I have a saying that I think of it every day. It's in my phone. It's the first thing I look at. We can use our experiences in life one of two ways, as a crutch or a ladder. And if you choose to use it as a crutch, I'm here to tell you that nobody gives a shit. And that's just the bottom line, right? You battled addiction. Outside of you and your immediate family, nobody cared. I mean, there's people that are there to help for sure. For sure. I'm not downplaying the support. You know, if we talk to our young men, if you grew up without dad in the house, and you have, you know, behavior issues as an adult male and your excuse is because you didn't have a male role model in your life, nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear it. Right. But we have all had these life experiences that shape and mold us. And if we choose to take the negative ones and use them as a ladder to motivate us, we can do whatever we want, right? You've been at rock bottom. I've been through some stuff, man, like stuff that children shouldn't go through. I was put on a burning wood stove at 18 months old and honestly left for dead. I mean, thank goodness my mother came home when she did, and I was rushed to the emergency room, or I probably wouldn't be here, to be honest with you. Placed into foster care, and gosh, by the time I was 10 years old, was very unfortunately had two murders that I had direct impact on my life before I was 10. The man that burned me, that I thought was my biological father, was murdered. And unfortunately, my foster parents and later the parents that adopted me, my parents, they're one of their best friends. The wife was murdered. This was all before I was 10. I grew up in poverty. There's no way around it. I've got the best parents in the world, but gosh, we were poor, but we were poor because of their heart. Like there was times where there was 14 kids in the house in foster care. It's not a lucrative business. Right? Like you can pay to put clothes on their back. You can pay to feed them. Outside of that, there's nothing. There's no Disney World. There was no family vacation. I took my first flight at 20 years old. First time I got on an airplane. And so I say all that to say this, all of those things molded me into who I am today, right? Like those experiences, I think, allow me to, in this world, relate to our young men, right? Like, let's have a conversation. Why, you know, what's going on in your life? You know, I think I can probably relate in some way, shape, or form. B, you know, none of those experiences define us. How we respond to them do. Someone asked me about recruiting like a week ago and where that success started and came from. We were so poor when I was a kid. My grandmother lived in a trailer park, and I would go visit her, my biological grandmother, and she, in the dead of winter in Western New York, she would about 6, 7, 8 years old, all around that time. She would have me go out in the woods with her, and we would pick up ground pine, pine that branches that were on the ground, and we would put them in garbage bags. We'd be out there for hours, freezing cold. We'd go home. She'd take coat hangers and she would wrap the pine around the coat hangers, and she would make Christmas wreaths. And she would, spray paint like this fake snow on them and put some decorations. And then at 6, 7, and 8 years old, she would send me out, and I would go house to house for miles for 4 or 5 hours selling wreaths door to door. And if it got too cold, we'd get in the car and she'd drop me off. I'd go to 10 houses. I'd get back in the car and we'd do it again. But that's how we ate. That's how we paid for dinner. Right. And so I say there's kids that had it way worse than I did, but you could sell a wreath in the middle of the winter when you're 8 years old in a trailer park for $15. I think we can recruit a kid to the University of South Florida. Right. And the foster, that's amazing that you're involved in that. It's like one of the least talked about things in our country.
Agree. I totally agree. It's a blind spot for America. It really is.
It's unbelievable. There's not enough homes for foster children. We let foster children age out of foster care with nowhere to go. I mean, nowhere to go. Like they go house to house. I lived it. Like they have a pillow and a couple outfits. When I was dropped off in foster care, it's like the one story that makes me emotional, man. Like I was dropped off and my family, I had a gray sweatsuit. I was 2 years old and I had 3rd-degree burns down the back of my entire body. And I was in this gray, like champion sweatsuit. And I had a grocery store plastic bag of my Matchbox cars. And my family says I didn't put them down for 2 weeks and I would not wear any other clothes. And they would have to put me to sleep, take those clothes off me, wash them, and make sure that they were there and ready when I woke up the next morning. I was 2, right? And I felt like I had to hold on to something that belonged to me at 2 years old. You've got kids that are in foster care at 12, 13, 14, and they're moving homes, and they're going to 6 high schools in 5 years, and it's tragic. And the one that like I'm really trying to find a way to impact is what happens when they age out. Like at 18 years old, we send them into the real world, and they've got to go figure out how to go to college or how to get a job. And well, I started a non-for-profit, and I'm so fortunate. Two of my assistants are on my board. They're my best friends, Thomas Butters, and Jamie Quarles. It's called Coaching Love, and we try to provide sports opportunities to kids in foster care. Foster parents can't afford to send a kid to USF basketball camp. They can't afford for pitching lessons, but sports unites people.
Oh yeah.
The best example, like last week when USA is playing in the gold game for the Olympics, Winter Olympics for hockey. You can go to any bar in Tampa and it was packed, and nobody was asking what your political affiliation was or what religion you were or how much money. No, everybody was in there drinking beer and cheering for USA hockey. It's like one of the few things we have in this world right now that just unites people. And so trying to find a way to help kids in foster care through sports. And we're going to continue to do that and push the envelope there. And it's just, again, I know I'm talking your ear off on this one, but it's something I'm passionate about, man. Like, find a way to give back. We had 114 foster children come through my parents' home. Wow. And that's just out of the kindness of my mother's heart. And then I think she didn't give my father a choice. And then he's got a heart of gold too. And so they just couldn't. I had a social worker tell me one time, we almost abused your parents because we knew if we called Larry and Rebecca Hodgson, they wouldn't say no. And so, I mean, I never had my own bedroom until I went to college. I mean, our home was a place where kids could come when they needed a place. And so trying to find a way to carry on what my parents did for so many others.
What's the name of the non-for-profit?
It's called Coaching Love.
Coaching Love.
And how cool, like, I started that 4 years ago, coaching love, and Coach Amir Abdur-Rahim's most infamous saying is "Love wins," right? Like I was meant to be here. I was meant to follow him. And man, he still leads me every day, even though he's not here. Like I think about that man every single day. Before I texted with his wife yesterday, just a beautiful family, but it truly does. Like love wins, man. And all of our experience, like I said, they shape us. And like, how do you use those, right? As a ladder to help you succeed and help others, or a crutch to find a way to make excuses on why things don't work out?
Well, Coach, I was so excited to talk to you, and I appreciate how transparent you've been. And I'll be carrying the message for you, and I'll see you in Birmingham, man. Keep up the great work. I so appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking the time today.
No, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks for. I didn't used to talk about my childhood at all, right? But any chance I get now, like if one kid hears an excerpt from this that says like, oh man, like this dude was in foster care too, and gives them some hope, I'm in. So
one last thing, what do you tell the families that are on the fence? You know, that was one thing I learned. You know, it's a little bit of red tape. You have to get certified, but you take care of that, and then you're in the system, and ultimately you can change lives. But what do you tell those families that are on the fence?
I'll tell you this, I have won championships in basketball. I've had my players get drafted in the lottery, guys that I recruited and changed their families' lives. This game's given me a ton, right? If you were to take in a foster child and go through that process, that feeling that you get when you're able to impact that young person's life, there's nothing in this world that can replace that feeling. There's nothing. And whether you have children of your own, whether you can't have children, and maybe that's a way for you to be able to impact kids, it's truly God's work. And there's no better, you're not going to ever feel anything better than that impact, that when you see that kid smile, that young person smile, because they don't have a lot to smile about often. And I'll tell you what, like the other thing is there's usually a ripple effect, right? So like if you're on the fence and you're the first person in your friend group to jump in and say, you know what, let's take in a foster child. Let's help someone. Well, it's someone else that you're friends with sees that and it goes well and sees the impact you're having, then they'll do it. And then another person will do it. I think people are afraid. I think people don't understand how it works. Make the phone call, dive into it. It's a process, but as it should be. We want the right people taking these children in, right? But once you get through that, it's the most rewarding thing there is in this world.
And a rewarding conversation for me and anybody who'll watch this. Coach, dude, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No, thank you, Pete. Appreciate you, man. See you soon.
You got it. Talk soon.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level when we shut down to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is Stark.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Sports.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.